Well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I never take for granted when you take time out of your busy schedule to be here. So I really do search to bring you the best possible content. And today I think you're going to just love this show. We've got the pleasure of meeting with Riana Malia. So welcome, Riana. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
And today we're going to be diving into the fascinating world of identity, self-leadership, and the neuroscience behind feminine power. So you can see why that attracted me, and I hope you find it interesting as well. And for those of you who may not know her, our guest is a board-certified neurosomatic practitioner. She's an identity architect for high-achieving women, and she's the creator of Clear to Create method and the quantum pattern protocol frameworks. She's been featured in Brilliant Magazine, recognized as a woman of influence, named one of New York Weekly's top 30 empowering women entrepreneurs to watch in 2025. And Rihanna blends neuroscience, emotional repatterning, and quantum healing in what can only be described as some groundbreaking work. And her work goes beyond mindset as well. We do a lot of mindset, but it's also about reprogramming identity from the inside out, which I'm also a big fan of. So whether you're navigating love, leadership, or some major transition in your life, today you are going to be able to stop pushing and start receiving. And I hope this episode will shift you from proving to creating.
Love
So,
it.
Rihanna, let's dig in. Like your work helps women release deep emotional cycles to be able to rewire at the identity level. And maybe we should start by talking about what you mean when you speak about identity level for those listeners who may not know what we're talking about here.
Sure. So at this stage of life, often, so the women that come to me, they've done the things, right? They've raised the family. They're not in crisis, but oftentimes when I ask the question, okay, what do you want now? Between now and dead, on the other side of this sense of being stuck, what are you doing or not doing differently than you're doing or not doing right now? What lights you up? What does that look like? And oftentimes that will bring tears.
Yeah.
And the answers will range from, I have no idea
Yeah.
because I put everybody else first.
Yeah.
I've been a mama or a wife or this or that, and now it's all changed, and I actually don't know who I truly am.
Yeah.
So we get to actually get to that place where, aside from all the conditioning and the noise and the maybe the failed marriage or the failed business and all the drama and trauma from your life, who are you actually? So it's really about anchoring in the truth of who you really are and not, trying to fit yourself into somebody else's box.
Yeah, I love it. And it's so important, I think. And I mean, for all of our listeners, but I think for women in particular, we're more likely to lose our identities along the way. We get so wrapped out in taking care of everybody else's needs. And then all of a sudden we feel this emptiness and then we feel guilty about feeling the emptiness because ostensibly everything looks great to the outside world. So I'm wondering what first drew you to explore that connection between neuroscience, somatics, and feminine power and leadership.
Well, I think all of us have a story, right? So my story, my journey throughout my lifetime brought me to this place.
Yeah.
Going back to growing up with a single mom, and she was amazing. She, worked really hard, and thank God I had my grandparents. They were my anchors.
Nice.
But my father, I was in Minnesota. He was in California. Wasn't really involved. And then I went off to college at 18, and he said, "Hey, listen, I didn't help you or your mom. I'm gonna take care of room and board freshman year."
Nice.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Got there, a couple months in, got a call. The bill wasn't paid. I was maxed on student loans. So at 18, I had to make a decision. Should I just leave school? What should I do? So one thing, a strategy for me and a survival skill has always been I can tap into being really resourceful. So I got 3 jobs. I rented a 5-bedroom house. I filled the other 4 bedrooms and I
All
figured it
right.
out. It wasn't a very fun college experience, but nonetheless, but that was kind of the beginning of, and not that at 18 I could articulate or name
Yeah.
it, but the questioning of value and worth and importance.
And
Um,
I love that you said resourcefulness because I think we often forget how resourceful we are. And when we can recognize it, known it, and tap into it, we're capable of so much. And I love one of the phrases that I've read that you use is that you're not broken, you're just wired that way. And that really caught my attention. So I wonder if you could chat for a bit about how does reframing our self-view, in that way in particular, change how we negotiate our best life, right? Negotiate success, self-worth, love, all of the things.
well, it's really everything, right? So whether it's disappointment from a parent, a marriage that was lonely, a divorce that felt like it was going to be fine and then turned crazy,
Yeah.
moving across the country to take over a family business, to find yourself in the middle of a DEA investigation and have to deal with that. Like there's all these things, there's evidence along the way.
Yeah.
So, and it starts to become the narrative in our head. And oftentimes the voice in our head, it's been there so long. And people will say to me, well, is the voice in my head me? No,
Yeah.
you're the one listening to the voice in your head. The voice in your head is all the conditioning and all the story and all the things that you've experienced in your lifetime that gives you evidence for whatever it is. I'm not enough. I'm
Yeah.
too much. I'm
Yeah.
broken, whatever it is. And believe me, for me, my story or my internal for a long time was I was both not enough and too much
Yeah.
all at the same time because that was the relationships that I
Yeah.
sought out because of my programming and my wiring.
Yeah.
And we can vision board and affirmation and journal all day long. But if we don't clear the patterns
Yeah.
that are running the show in the unconscious, forget it. You're not going to get the partnerships you
Yeah.
want. You're going to get more of the same. You're going to get more of the everything that we don't want.
Yeah. And I want to ask for our listeners there, I want you to take a moment and think, because I think a lot of people think that they're opposite, that either you feel you're not enough or you feel that you're too much. And I would venture to say a lot of people, and women in particular, feel both of those things at the same time. And you have this internal turmoil about it. And I want to really put a pin in something Rihanna just said, which is that idea about you are not the stories in your head. I think we so often that becomes our identity because we believe that is what we are. And the beauty is that we can't control a lot of things in life, but you can control the story that you choose to accept about yourself. So I really wanted to put a pin in that, Rihanna. I think that's so important. And now you've said before, I know that a lot of high achieving women and well, all women have, done the work, if you will, but still feel stuck, right? So what would you say is often missing from those more traditional personal development models or therapy models?
So let me say all of it has benefit, right? So anytime we are in a situation where there's conflict or trauma or whatever, we do what we're told to do. We talk about it in therapy. We talk about it with our girlfriends.
Yeah.
We read the books. We go to the retreat in Costa Rica. We journal. We watch Brene Brown. We do all the things. All of that is beneficial. But the longer that you stay in the story,
Yeah.
it's your guarantee you're never going to actually move forward and get what you want.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens, and I think it's important to just for a minute talk about the difference between the conscious and the unconscious, if that's okay.
Yes.
So, if you think about our body, everything from the neck up is our conscious mind. It's everything we know, we know. It's our goal setter, we use it all day long. It's 10%, which means everything from the neck down, the rest of the body, the other 90% is the unconscious mind. So, if the conscious is the goal setter, the unconscious is the goal getter,
Hmm.
right? It runs the show.
Yeah.
But the most important piece about that is it is the literal library of everything you've ever experienced in all of your moments, years on this planet.
Hmm.
And what people don't realize is if we don't release that properly, that energetic weight, because memory is cellular, that we see things like anxiety and depression and autoimmune disorders and illness and injury and all these things. But back to your question, most everyone that comes to me, I'm the one that everybody comes to after they've done the therapy and the
Yeah.
retreat, right? You've done all that and now you're ready for this. But it's like, okay, I've been in therapy for years, Rihanna, and I have great awareness and clarity and I have these aha moments. And then it's like, I feel really good. And then life comes at you because it always will. And instead of even staying there in that progress, you just go right back to where you
Yeah.
started. The reason for that is because if you're going to blow out old strategy and neurology and behavior and ways of thinking, if you don't replace it, the unconscious mind can't fill in the blank. It will always go back to the chaos and
Yeah.
dysfunction that it knows. So I think it's part of what makes a lot of the traditional therapeutic, personal development, life coach type work kind of maddening and dangerous, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you you have these moments of clarity and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Now I know this. Well, what the hell do I do with it?
Yeah.
We have to give you the skills to go with the knowledge because if we don't replace the neurology specifically and then the behavior and the ways that you show up and process, you're always going to go back to the old.
Yeah.
And that's why people end up having this just horrible self-fulfilling prophecy that they don't ever finish anything. They don't do it
Yeah.
right. Why can't I snap out of it? I've done all this. I know all this. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
It's not your fault. You're not broken. Nothing's wrong with you. We just have to tap in and do it differently, because when you keep trying to do the same things over and over again, I'm going to read another book, I'm going to listen to another lecture, I'm going to
Yeah.
go to some course. It's like just plucking the top off the dandelions in the
Yeah.
garden. They're going to grow right back. So we have to do it differently. We have to go deeper to that other place, that unconscious mind, because you cannot solve a problem with the same mind that created
Yeah.
it. It doesn't work that way.
And something just really resonated when you said that about so much, we hold so much in our bodies and yet we don't, right? And I remember going to an event once and they had this woman, everybody was raving about her. And I went into this session and you just lie there and she didn't really even touch you. It was this whole energy thing. And I was thinking, what the hell is going on? This seems ridiculous. And yet it was this incredible experience, right? I mean, there's so much out there that I think we historically have seen as woo-woo, and now the science is starting to catch up. But let's talk a little bit about that, like, because you talk about mindset being only part of the puzzle. What's missing when we focus solely on mindset work? And I think you talked about that a little bit there, but how does that somatic and subconscious reprogramming fill the gap?
So, I mean, there's a lot of parts and pieces to that, and I want to touch on all of it. But one of the things I think I'd like to start with is the difference of the how. How do you release that from your body?
Yeah.
So I want you to imagine for a moment that there's, for every negative emotion, anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, and then all those limiting beliefs and
Yeah.
limiting decisions that we say about ourselves, there's a ribbon. Each one of them has their own ribbon. And every single time in our life that we have an emotional experience with each of those negative emotions, a marble goes on the ribbon.
Hmm.
So today, something happens that makes you angry. It's not really so much about today, it's the 40, 50, 60
Yeah.
years ago. That's the charge, that's the gestalt. It's that sum is greater than the parts. That's what's sitting here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I do that, there's not many people in the world that do this, but it's been around for hundreds, probably thousands of years. It's called quantum time release. And it is a multidimensional modality. But what we're able to do is release all of that charge without going back into any conscious memory of anything that caused the pain or the trauma in the first
Hmm.
place.
Wow.
And largely, a big distinction of how this work is different than therapy. We're not going to go back and talk about what happened when you were 10 or in your marriage and what your ex-husband did, all the things. It's not relevant to your healing and moving forward. In fact, I would say after a certain point, it just keeps you stuck. So we're able to release all of that charge and transmute that, actually get those, like, reconnect to the truth of who you are, and then recreate new relationship with those emotions going forward. So
Yeah.
we're not giving you a lobotomy. You're still going to experience anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame. But the point is the charge is gone. And that's where the magic happens. So in between each of those releases, I will ask you, I'll say, okay, now I want you specifically to go back into an event in the past, a specific event where that emotion used to be a problem. And I want you to check and I want you to let me know if it still has a charge, though it may not. And that's where people's face just light up and they're like, oh my gosh, if you would have asked me that 2 hours ago, my heart would have been racing. I would have been angry, or I would have been sad. I would have started to cry. I would have had a pit in my stomach. The charge is gone.
Yeah.
And then we get to future place and start creating new neurology around how we respond in going forward. And not that we're not going to feel those things when it's appropriate, but
Yeah.
the change is if you go into an unspecified time in the future, where if it had happened in the past, you would have had an inappropriate or unwarranted
Yeah.
amount of
Yes.
blame. And that's where the magic is.
Yeah, because it gets rid of all that overreaction. And as you were saying that, I'm clocking all the times in my life when I can think when my response was immediate and disproportionate
Yeah.
to
And
the event. And I love your visual about the ribbon with the marble. That's gorgeous. That's
you
really pretty. Okay.
ask me the question again because I know I didn't answer it.
Well, you said about, I'd asked you, I think that, when you talk about mindset, you'll often say that's only a piece of the puzzle. So, I was asking about how that somatic and the subconscious reprogramming fill the gap. So I think you
So
definitely,
absolutely. So the quantum time release is the how we release
yeah,
that, but I really want to address and answer your question fully. So when we think about, like mindset, and so this is a great example because I will tell you that every day, right, we think between like 70, 80,000 thoughts every day.
yeah,
And 90% of those thoughts are recycled.
yeah,
They're the same thoughts that we thought yesterday and the day before and the
yeah,
week
crazy.
before, and the middle of the night when we're running through all the scenarios and the what ifs. And the problem with that is that 75% of those recycled thoughts are negative.
I know it's insane.
And I get so much pushback because my clients are like, "Oh no, not for me. My mindset is solid. Like I'm golden there. Like I don't need that." I'm like, "Okay, cool. So let's just look at what you're thinking about." The problem is most of the time, we don't even realize it. We're thinking about all the things we don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in another relationship where I can't trust them and I never feel safe. I don't want to be in a relationship where I am not adored and valued and cherished. I don't want to be in this money situation. I don't want to be in this job that I hate. I don't want, I don't want, I don't want.
Yeah.
And the issue there is that the unconscious mind and the universe, it doesn't hear the qualifying don't.
Yeah.
It only knows what you're focused on. And it's like jumping in the car and we put an address in the nav system and it takes us there.
Yeah.
Every single time we're talking about what we don't want, we're just saying to our nav system, let's keep going there.
Yeah. Take me there.
It's like, okay, you're the boss.
Yeah.
So it's why incredibly emotionally intelligent, brilliant, fabulous women are like, why do I keep marrying the same man? Why do I keep dating the same man? Why do I keep ending up in a job that I hate or in these friendship dynamics? Why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
Because you're thinking about all the time what you don't
Yes.
want. So my values as a person and in my business are love, generosity, impact, the belief in what's possible, and being a magnet for miracles, which
Yeah.
that is my favorite thing to teach.
Yeah.
So I have a methodology, the magnet for miracles, I call it, but we're in 72 hours, we can actually rewire your thoughts and your entire life will change
Yeah. Beautiful.
by a very simple process. But it's like it all starts there.
Well, and I want you to tell us about the process if you can. And just before we do that, I want to put a pin for a moment in this for our listeners because this we are getting to the absolute core of it here. Your brain will try to give you what it thinks you want. It's like the GPS that Rihanna was talking about. And so when you're having these thoughts of everything you do, your brain is going to show you all of the examples so you will believe you're right. You know, that this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm not good at that. And your brain will go looking for examples, believing that's what you want. And when you can flip that story that you're telling yourself, your brain will try to look for examples of that. So you'll be able to appreciate all of the magnificence that's there. So if you can share your 72-hour transformational process, or at least give us some sense of it, that'd
Yeah.
be fabulous.
It's just a small, tiny little part of the work, but it's foundational because without this, the rest is kind of a waste of time. So here's what I would say to you. And obviously, there's a lot more that we get into frequency and all the things, but at the simplest practice, I'd like you to take two pieces of paper. On the top of one, I'd like you to write the word away, and on the other, write the word toward. So I want you to imagine that you're in a room with four walls, and one of those walls, it could be to your left, to your right, in front of you, or behind you, is what's going to be your away wall. And I want you to write on that list everything you don't want. Everything you don't want again, ever, more of, just all of it. I don't care if it's a dirty car or the dog didn't get groomed or a relationship or money issues, whatever. I want you to just fully write everything you don't want on that list. So that's your away wall. Now, your toward wall is everything you want.
Yeah.
Magic wand, fairy dust, goals, wishes, dreams, desires, all the things. And then here's what we're going to do. You're going to wear a rubber band for the next 72 hours. And every single time that you find yourself either where you can know in the moment that you're like kind of spiraling or you're coming in a place of anxiety and you're freaking out and you're like, why does this always happen to me, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to snap the rubber band because the brain needs a pattern interrupt, but it can't be a scrunchie. It has to be like the office kind. So
Yeah, no gentle snapping.
no gentle snapping. And my clients have to check in with me every day during the 72 hours, and often I'll get pictures of like welts. But so what we're doing here is, again, this is not about toxic positivity or overriding. It's about not staying in it. And
Yeah.
the reason that's so critical is if you hold a thought for 17 seconds with emotion,
Yeah.
it either creates new
Uh-huh.
or reinforces the neural pathways.
Yeah.
So when people start, sometimes it's a whole day. They don't even realize it because that's how they've
Yeah.
functioned for so long. So they might all day just feel kind of like annoyed or irritated or just kind of tightness in their chest and they don't even know why. And then they'll be like, oh, and they snap. So then there's the critical pieces is after you snap is I want you to think about, okay, what was the last thing I can remember thinking about?
Yeah.
I promise you it's something on that away wall
Yeah.
every time. And then we replace it with a better feeling thought.
Yeah.
And that can be done in a multitude of ways. Something from your toward wall list that you can hold for 17 seconds as though it is.
Yeah.
If you can't fathom that, then 30 seconds of just something that you're really genuinely grateful for, not the like polished crap. It could be
Yeah.
like, I'm freezing and the sun feels so good on my face right now, and I'm just going to sit here and let it
Yeah.
warm my face for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then if you're still kind of in it, I would like you to ask yourself, who can I serve in this moment?
Mm, that's beautiful.
It doesn't have to be a big grand gesture. It can be a thought or a prayer for somebody or a text to a girlfriend saying, love you, or
Yeah.
your neighbors newspapers are piling up and you just put them in the recycle for them, just
Yeah.
something outside of you.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen over the course of the 72 hours is you're going to start recognizing it faster and faster.
Yeah.
So maybe day one, you don't recognize it all. And then the second day, you know, it's some hours that you're in it.
Yeah.
And then it's a couple of hours, then it's an hour, then it's like half an hour. And then the goal is to ultimately, you're going to get so good at this that the second that you go into the thought or you feel it in your body, you're going to recognize that and you're going to snap that rubber band and you're going to replace it. And you're going to watch everything around you
Yeah.
start to shift.
Well, for our listeners, you have just been given a gift there because that I've got to say, I've been doing this a long time. And that is such a simple concept, but the way you've explained it, Rihanna, is taking a concept that everybody talks about, we pay a lot of lip service to, but it's all in their head. And so most people never do it. You've given a concrete, practical way to actually live into that idea about actually getting rid of the away and being able to move into the toward. So I challenge all of our listeners to do that, to commit to yourself to do that for the next 72 hours and see the changes in your life. I think it's such a beautiful, simple gift you've just been given because it's easy to apply, and I have zero doubt that you're going to get some really concrete results from it. So I love that. Thank you for that, Rihanna. And I want to
Sure.
make sure we talk a bit about the invisible armor of the nice girl because it is such a chronic problem. So let's chat for about how people pleasing or that sort of self-abandonment that we often do end up blocking us from stepping into our true sort of feminine leadership, if you will. And how can we start to dismantle that darn armor?
Yeah. So most of who we are right now, we picked up between 0 and 7. So a lot of it comes from then, right?
Yeah.
Baby Cindy at 5 decided that if she's going to be loved, she has to be quiet.
Yeah.
Or at 7, you realize, oh, my dad really praises my sibling because they get straight A's or they're the best on the soccer team.
Yeah.
So I need to be perfect to earn love, et cetera, right? So all these things. And some of it we can pinpoint and some of it we can't. But it starts way back when, and again, then we start chipping away at ourselves, right? A relationship that I was in after my divorce was like I knew the first date it was horrible, but I
Yeah.
was certain that no one else was going to love me. Like that story was so ingrained. So
Yeah.
I just kept chipping away the pieces of me that were too much for him and then trying to make myself be something that was not enough for him.
Yeah.
And it was abusive, not physically, but when I look back at that, and that was really such a pivotal point in my life of going, oh my God, I'm like, this is my line in the sand.
Yeah.
So whatever the circumstances are, maybe it's, you grew up in a household where that's how it was. Like your mom took care of your dad and the kids, and she didn't, if you asked her what she liked, she'd say, oh, whatever you want. Like, I mean, there's no sense of self.
Yeah.
So then we get to be 30, 40, 50, 60, and we like, what the F? Like what? I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know because I just want to make everybody else happy and I don't want to cause upset. And so I walk away from confrontation and I don't have a voice. And then guess what? Then there's all this resentment.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the whole concept of the methodology, which is to clear to create. Because, my tagline forever has been, I can't do this backwards, your very best life. And, and whether we've been best friends for decades or we met in the market yesterday, like I want you to live your version of your very best life. And it's different for every single one of us. But the truth is, you cannot go from all the story, all the trauma, all the
Yeah.
old stuff to living your very best life. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You have to clear before you can create.
Yeah.
So we have to clear the story to create the life.
Yeah.
Everybody says to me, I want a different story. Okay, then you have to stop telling the old one
Yeah.
right now. Done.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Now, would you say that's the biggest block? I was going to ask you, like, what's the biggest block you would, in your experience, that's keeping women from truly receiving and stepping into that identity? Is it story?
There's a lot of it. I would say stories is the biggest one because even in my work, like when we start and I'll say, listen, and all of a sudden back into my ex-husband, when he would do this, and I'd say, time out. Like I honor that this is what you're used to.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. This isn't about him. This is about you.
Yeah.
That's your what's next
Yeah.
and moving you forward. And so the story is that's where it starts. But then also we have to go deeper, right? We have to clear the cycles to create the confidence. Most of the women that come to me are like, I don't know. I don't trust myself to know because I thought I knew. And look how well that turned out. And so we have this sense of like, I don't know. Is that a red flag or am I being ridiculously picky? Is
Yeah.
that really a non-negotiable? Well, maybe it'll get better. It's
Yeah.
probably okay. Like
Yeah.
all of that because we don't trust ourselves.
Yes.
And we have to clear the patterns to create the partnerships. If we want those aligned, fabulous, rich partnerships in
Yeah.
romantic relationships, in friendships, in professional relationships,
Yep.
we have to clear the patterns. And that's all in the unconscious.
Yeah.
And we have to clear the resentment to get the results. So many brilliant, high achieving women
Yes.
kind of almost get there and they never do.
Yeah.
They never quite get there. And we have to clear the loss to create the love.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that would encompass all of that is clarity.
Yeah.
Most women don't have any idea what they really want. It's
Yeah.
kind of like going into a restaurant and
Yeah.
saying, yeah, I'd like a beverage and a salad and a protein and a bring you an iced tea and a pork chop and some green beans and a Caesar salad. And you got exactly what you ordered to a T. You wanted a glass of Chardonnay and a piece of
Yeah.
salmon and some roasted asparagus and an arugula salad with fresh figs and goat cheese.
Yeah.
The difference.
That's
The
nice.
clarity piece. So even though the process is clear, create, claim, before we can clear anything, we have to get crystal clear.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
you are. Who you
That's
are.
funny. It's like the difference of saying, oh, I want to travel, as opposed to, I want to be in one of those gorgeous white villas in Santorini overlooking the azure ocean, like getting the detail and clarity about what we want so we can step into it. And I want to again put a pin when you talked about resentment, you put a little extra emphasis on it. And I'm glad you did because and I think high achieving women in particular, for whatever reason, are likely to hold on to those resentments more. And that probably is, as you were saying, as they get to the end, but they don't quite get there because they don't let those go. And you've probably talked about this already, but I know you teach that it's not about sort of burning down what we've built, but it's about reinventing our identity with grace, if you will. So, can you just unpack for us? And again, you've touched on pieces of it, but just sort of quickly unpack what that process of aligned identity looks like in practice.
Well, I think a lot of people get stuck in the fact that there's something wrong with us,
Yeah.
but it's just that the life that you've built doesn't, it no longer aligns with what your nervous system was before.
Yeah.
It's running an old program. It's like our phones, if we don't freaking update them all the time, everything crashes. Same for our internal. When we are just like, oh, yep, I'm operating from the same place that I was operating 15 years ago. And why does it feel so incongruent and so just terrible? Well, it's because you're running on an outdated operating system.
Yeah.
And it's again, it's not about that, so many people are like, whatever, it's just I'm too late. I'm too late. I'm 50, I'm 60. Right now I have a client
Yeah.
who's 71 years old.
Yeah.
She is a Spitfire. She just had her third divorce.
Yeah.
She is like, I'm vetting matchmakers for her now. She's like, no, now I get it. She's like, now I'm no longer going to just be this doormat and just do what everybody else wants. And she's so excited. And she's an artist and she used to be a criminal defense attorney in LA for years. She's brilliant. She is so not ready to give up on life, but she had been operating
Yeah.
on an operating system that was 25 years old from when this last marriage started and couldn't understand why she didn't ever feel like just connected into herself even.
Yeah. I love that analogy. I mean, again, it's such a simple analogy, but it hits. And for our listeners, think about that for a moment, because I think we've all had the experience where we're dealing with an outdated operating system and we know how slow, how sluggish, how many errors that you get on that. And just apply that to your life. If you're still using the old thought patterns, those old identities, that old operating system, guess what? You're gonna get errors and it's gonna be sluggish and it's not gonna allow you to move forward. I think that's a great analogy. Now, as part of the art of feminine negotiation, I often speak about shifting from that power over mentality that we've been taught as being defined success as more of a power with. So, how does your work support women in making that shift from that striving and proving, that striver, driver, achiever, to receiving and allowing?
So I think a lot of it comes down to a frame that I call cause and effect. And when we are in effect, we're like at the mercy of.
Yeah.
It's everybody else's fault. Well, I would have been able to do this except for,
Yeah.
my boss sucks or
Yeah.
my partner is terrible and doesn't do any work. It's all about reasons. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of chaos. And when we're in cause, we fully own it.
Yeah.
We are creating our worlds. We're not, at the mercy of. We're not falling in that victim archetype. We have solutions and it's pretty calm. But for, and again, we're human. We're going to be in effect. Sometimes you have to be in effect to realize like how crazy that is.
Yeah.
But most people spend most of their life there. And the shift in that of like that power is pulling yourself out of effect into cause. And how do you do that?
Yeah.
You do that in a few different ways. So first, I want to give you a definition of responsibility, not the adulting logistical kind of
Yeah.
responsibility. Really, what is my ability to respond? What is my response ability? What is my ability to respond? And
Mm.
how do we do that? So we're going to ask ourselves a few questions. In a situation where you're feeling all of that,
Yeah.
what does this have to do with me? Because probably nothing.
Yeah.
What is there for me to take in this moment? Like, is there a lesson here?
Yeah.
And what could I be doing or not doing differently than I'm doing or not doing in this moment that's actually aligned with the woman that I am and the life that I want? Those three things will very quickly pull you back into that place of powerfully standing in who you are,
Yeah.
trusting that and owning all of it. Like, I don't know why I created this situation. It's not anything I would have said I wanted, but clearly I did. So how do I figure it out? What's there for me to learn here? And
Yeah.
what do I need to be doing differently than I'm doing right now? And it's again, these are simple shifts,
Yeah.
but these are the things that change the game.
Well, and it's funny, they're simple to do, but they're not something that we think about often. So it's a big change and I love it. So simple because it allows us to take responsibility for our own life, which gives us more control over our own experience of life. So what a beautiful thing. Now, I was going to ask you sort of what's one practice or awareness shift that our listeners can begin today? And you've actually given us a few, but do you have one more as we're sort of winding down that you can think of that is sort of just a simple practice that they'll be able to implement right away to start clearing the patterns that are keeping them playing small in their life still, or at the other end, maybe keeping them overperforming?
Yeah. So two things. I'm going to give you something in a minute, but first I'm going to say I think everybody should start with taking the Ellie. And the Ellie is a diagnostic that we've created over the last year, and it's the Extraordinary Love Index. What's standing between you and extraordinary love? Now, this is not just romantic love. This is this love too.
Yeah.
Every single human should take this diagnostic. And let me be clear, this is not a what Disney princess are you quiz. It's 40 questions. Give yourself a good 10-15 minutes so you can thoughtfully answer them because I'm going to send you a 28-page report that's going to look at 9 key areas of you. It's going to give you insight that you may have never had. And it's going to say like, here's where you are. You might be feeling this and you might be experiencing this and you might be having these things happen in your life.
Yeah.
Here's the cost of staying there. And here's something that you can do right now to start to move out of that. So start there. But I want to give you an example that's one of my favorites. So frequency is really important, right? We're talking about thoughts, we're talking about energy. Every single thought and emotion has a different level of frequency or vibration. And the really low ones, right? Like the powerless and all the shame and the guilt that lives down here. And then the highest is like, appreciation, joy, love, all of that. So then there's all these ones in between. When we're stuck in the low vibration stuff, when our thoughts are there, when we're just living there, it's like we're stuck in this place. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's your favorite kind of music or one of your favorite kinds of music?
You're asking me to answer right now? Bruce Springsteen comes to mind first, just long time.
Okay, amazing. So, and then what is a genre or a person of music you cannot stand?
not a fan of like Eminem hard edge rap kind of.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Okay, so I want you to imagine for a moment that everything you want for your life, all of it, health, wealth, love, everything, it lives on Sirius XM 111 Bruce Springsteen all day, all the time. Right now, we're hanging out down here because
Yeah.
of our where we're thinking, where we're focused, and we are stuck on freaking Eminem, and we can't even turn it off, and we can't turn it down. And let me tell you, you cannot hear Bruce Springsteen on the Eminem channel. It doesn't happen. There's just no way. So how are we going to change that? You have to change the frequency on a radio station, just like that. We have to change our frequency because we don't get what we want.
Yeah.
We get who we are.
Yeah.
And if we're hanging out in Eminem, we're never getting Bruce Springsteen
Yeah.
life. We're stuck in Eminem life.
Yeah.
So thinking about that and how all of this
Yeah.
together, that's we're here now. This
Yeah.
is these are the ways that we get there.
I love your approach, Rihanna, because they're fun, right? I mean, it may be fun to overstate, but they're like you present them in a way that, like, even the toward away is something that we can get our head around and actually do, right? Thinking about the frequency of our life based on musical stations is something that can give us a bit of a smile as we're doing it as well. So, just such a great approach. And I normally like to end, this has been great. I wish we had more time, but I normally always end by asking, what's one of the greatest mindset shifts that you've had in your life? Doesn't have to be anything we've talked about or relevant to your program, but it can be, but just one of those aha moments for you.
Just because it's always been has no relevant on meaning it has to be. Like you
Mhm.
truly flip that today.
Yes.
So many people get stuck in the is it is what it is. You know,
Yes. Yes. And it doesn't have to be. I love that. That's so true. And where can people learn more about you, Rihanna?
yeah. So the website, which is rianamalia.com, all the socials, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, all the things. So yeah, just come and connect and go to the website and take the Ellie. Please go
I was
take the Ellie.
going to ask,
It's
where
my
can I
gift.
do that? So, yeah.
So if you just pop over to rianamalia.com, there'll be a something will pop up that says take the Ellie. Also, we can pop that in the show notes if they want to go straight to the Ellie.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to do that. And for our listeners, I often say when somebody offers you a gift, take advantage of it. All right. We sit there and right now maybe you're multitasking and you're doing something and make a note to yourself, make a commitment to yourself that you're going to go do the LA test and get the benefit of it when somebody is offering you something that could be life-changing. You've got absolutely nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, and again, Rihanna, this has been just so much great concrete information you've passed on to us. I love when guests do that. You've been so generous. So thank you so much for sharing these insights.
My pleasure.
And for our listeners, you have to have gotten great value from this episode. There were so many nuggets that you can actually practically apply, not just theoretical, esoteric kind of concepts, but life-changing practical steps that you can take today. As soon as you finish listening to this podcast, you can start your away and towards list and get that darn elastic and get into living your best life. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that and give the gift of giving. Share this episode with other people in your life who you know could benefit from some of these simple shifts in identity that will be life-changing for them. And before we sign off, if this episode lit a fire in you and you're ready to stop playing small, start negotiating your best life, I'd love to work with you, whether it's one-on-one in a powerful group or through my online programs. I've got you covered. So let's tap into that feminine power of yours and start getting more of what you want and deserve without apology. And if you're in, head to theartoffemininenegotiation.com. And for goodness sakes, if you haven't grabbed my book of the same name yet, Art of Feminine Negotiation, How to Get What You Want from the Boardroom to the Bedroom, please make sure to do that. And that's a wrap for this episode. So now go renegotiate the life that you thought you had to settle for. And remember that every moment is a negotiation. So choose presence, choose power, choose purpose. And I like to think this isn't just a podcast, but it's a movement. And you're part of something bigger now because together we're redefining power, one conversation, one negotiation at a time. So please, I invite you, join the movement, lead the change, and lead with heart, negotiating like the powerful force of nature you are. And remember, feminine doesn't mean weak, it means unstoppable. And remember, whether in the boardroom, the bedroom, or beyond, the key to success lies in tapping into your authentic power, empathy, intuition. Until next time, I'm Cindy Watson, and this is the Art of Feminine Negotiation. Take care.